Good afternoon. It's Sunday. I've mowed the lawn, and it's time for an update. Okay, let's start in our usual spot, and the big announcement is the bathroom project is over, and I've already started working on something over here. It's going to start looking a little bit different. I have an idea how I'm going to do this, but let me just sort of tell you, the jade plant is no longer there. I did get up and pull some weeds this week. I just took a break from the bathroom. Actually, I think I was waiting for the grout to dry, but or grout to cure would be better. But so I got out and I pulled a few weeds. But in the meantime, I noticed Dad's just a bit by bit each week has been pulling out the jade plant. So I just finished the job today, and I said, wait a minute. Now I've got this open area. Maybe I should start figuring out if I could reuse, because I didn't realize, I guess I'd seen it plenty of times, but right here we've got these bricks that were in front of the jade plant. And I'm like, okay, I got two of those. I had two others that I had been using. I wonder, yep, four of them matches up perfectly to dive into that existing wall I did last year. So I'm looking at, okay, I could run the wall across all the way and even going the other direction. I think I actually have enough materials almost. Maybe the capstones, I might need to get more of those, but and maybe more pavers, or maybe I'll leave part of it dirt instead of paving it. So it's just a lot of thinking, trying to figure out how I'm going to do all this, but this is coming up. At least some of it's going to get done. Probably just going to do this whole area here this week and just see how it looks, and then decide, do I have only one brick or do I go up another brick? If that's the case, then I might have to buy more materials, or do I step it up from here? So it's a lot of sort of thinking. Originally it was all going to be done in wood, but then I realized I've got some other materials, and I'm pulling a ton of soil. Let me show you. That's why everything's been kind of reorganized over here. I got the small bins. I cleared an area here so that I could actually, that first one is filled with soil. This one's about half full. And I figured out that any extra soil we have, I can actually put on the front lawn. There are some dips in the front lawn. So it'll end up looking like dirt for a while, but then eventually the grass will grow through. We've done this before. You pour a bunch of dirt on it, but you don't pour it too deep, and then the grass will work its way through, and then eventually you've got everything lifted and leveled. So the question is, do we dig a ton of this hill out and put it in the front yard, or do we lift higher and then potentially have to put some soil in on the hill? It's a tricky question trying to figure out. We definitely want to flatten out the area in front of the citrus trees, so that's going to come into the calculation. But if nothing else, I mean, we could just make that shelf a little bit higher and then go back to kind of following the slope of the hill. But if you look at it, I've cut into the hill, and you can see it's actually not matching the slope of the hill right now. So that's a careful consideration. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. Now, I mean, it's back here, this is the way it's always been, and so it's always kind of spilled over a little bit, and I think that's because when it was installed, probably the entire hill was probably a little bit steeper, and just over the years it's working its way down. So anyway, that's what that's all looking like. This now is just a screaming mess because I'm trying to figure out how to get an area clear, so it's just like one of those puzzles with the tiles that you slide around trying to get them in order. It's just that kind of thing here. I've got to find a space to put stuff temporarily while I work on something, and then ultimately make more space. I also got in and cleaned up a little here, although it's not totally obvious now because the blossoms are falling off the orange tree, but that's a good thing. We like to have lots of blossoms on the orange tree. That means lots of oranges. Not necessarily one-to-one, but we'll get lots of oranges. Looking at the nasturtiums over here, I've got a yellow one. That's a nice thing to have. I think I mentioned that last week, but I mean, it's just nice to have something other than just the orange. That's what this looks like. And sorry if that made you dizzy. And in the back, we've got the usual suspects with a twist. Look at this. The nasturtium is just going crazy. So now I'm realizing I'm going to have to pick a certain amount of this, just harvest it to keep it under control, which is something that I can eat. So I'm probably going to be making a lot more, putting a lot more nasturtium in my salads. This one's doing nicely. That's pepper plant I need to deal with. Oh yeah, back to that's the other thing. I've got to try and clear some of this nasturtium back so I can actually see what's going on here. Now that does kind of look like a tomato plant to me. So I'm hoping that's what that is. And then maybe some of these smaller ones will actually be basil. That'd be perfect. A couple of little things in here, but hard to tell what they are. So we'll see. I did put one of the boxes that I had on the side when I was moving everything around this week. I put it here, and I planted some more nasturtium in there. So, and Dad came out and went nuts cleaning all of this up. So I don't know how obvious that'll be because we still have this, which is missing color. We'll get that eventually. But let me sort of step back so you can see what that all looks like now. And we'll come around to the side and see what that looks like. All right. Okay. The succulents are doing a little bit better. Look at all of those flowers. That looks so nice. And then I can kind of shoot down that way, but you can walk down that way. I did a little trimming today besides doing the lawn. I tried to shape that pricker bush there and most of the other bushes around. But then I also cleared some of the leaves off the palm at the bottom so that I could give some air and light to the geraniums that are doing so nicely here. So I still need to pull some of the suckers from the pepper tree, but that's what that's looking like. It's just nice to have the lawn done finally. Also took care of that. Oh, I forgot what it's called. Oh, I'll put it here. But I trimmed it. That's the thing, is it just kind of starts to grow wild. We're trying to keep it in an arch, but not totally wild. So I trimmed that. And here's how the geranium cuttings are doing. Actually, that one's got a new flower on it. So we're succeeding in some small part. Yeah, that last one doesn't look all that great, but you know what? Having a few of them survive, that's a good thing. So that's kind of where we are. I'll spin you around and show you the valley. And that's what this week's update is about. So appreciate you watching. I want to say stay safe, take care of the ones you love. Thanks again for watching, and may your thumb be green.